Okay, so I guess I'll just quickly revise the last part. So we had spoken of the different body fluids earlier, including the blood, lymph, and the tissue fluids. And we were specifically looking at blood as one of the body fluid and its subcomponents. Of course, we had looked at what is open and closed circulatory system, and this different types of non-circulating body fluids which are present, which is not really much relevant as such in terms of the content, but yeah, you surely need to remember which fluid from which particular organ. And then this was the kind of summary slides for the slide for the blood, which included plasma as one of the fluid component, and the cellular component. You had three types of cells: RBC, WBCs, and the platelet. And if you remember, we had looked at what are the different components in the RBCs. Most important was cell being anucleate, that is without nucleus, and the biconcave in shape. It is merely a protein and lipid membrane structures. So there were two types of this membrane, that is integral and peripheral. Integral one represents the your blood group system, and I assume you remember it as well, that we spoke of different antigens being present on this integral membrane of the RBC, and the peripheral membrane specifically gives the elasticity and the strength so that they can squeeze through the small capillaries. And the rest of the parameter, they are, I guess, more factual, so that you can revise on your own. Okay, so then the next part that we are starting today, that is the white blood cells. So there are different names to this. You can call them WBCs, you can also call them leukocytes, or you can also call them white corpuscle. The corpuscle is nothing but the cell, right? So you can, that way you can also call as a white corpuscle or white cell. So these are WBCs, which is one of the cellular component which lacks hemoglobin. Now RBCs, like if we have a differentiate between RBCs and WBCs, RBCs they have hemoglobin, and the WBC they don't. So that way these are different. And again, WBCs they have nucleus. Depending on what type of WBC it is, we have to also differentiate between RBC and WBC. That is, WBC they have a nucleus. They are capable of motility. This is very specific to the immune cells, because RBCs they cannot move on their own. They are usually carried with the blood. On the contrary, WBCs they can move on their own, and that is why they are capable of motility. They defend the body against infection. RBC's main function is to carry gases either from lungs to the body cells or the other way, and also in the antigen, like representation of the antigen for blood group system. Two main functions here. Main function of WBC, you would know this, that is the protection against the pathogen, or defending the body against any type of infection or diseases by ingesting the foreign materials. Now foreign materials refers to the different antigens or broken particles of the bacteria or cell, that is what is cellular debris, and by destroying the infectious agents and cancer cells. Infectious agents, this can be your, again, bacteria or virus which can cause a disease, and cancer cells, of course, you know. Now there is a very specific mechanism by which these cancer cells they get removed from the body. So cancer cells they usually represent a particular type of antigen on those cancer cells, which is recognized by these WBCs, and then they are kind of broken down or killed in a way. And when the number grows much larger, the cancer cell they either find a way to adapt themselves without representing an antigen, or they get escaped from this WBC, and that is the way they can sustain it within our body, and they can grow and cause different malignancies, what we call as cancer. And one of the other function is also in the production of the antibodies. So whatever antibodies we have inside our body, they are majorly because of the white blood cell. Count wise, we know the ratio of RBC to WBC was RBCs, they were 600 times higher than WBC. And in terms of number, they go almost in millions, while the WBCs, they are almost 4,500 to 11,000. So this and is wrong here. It's 2, it should be. So from 4,500 to 11,000 WBC per cubic milliliter of the blood. Yeah, that is almost 1 ml of the blood. So that much, or those many RBCs, they are present in 1 cubic millimeter of the blood. Though the number here is very low compared to like RBCs, they are more than sufficient to tackle any infection, right? And they are further subdivided into several types that we will see further in the next part, and the number will again get obviously subdivided into. So the abnormal increase in these white blood cells is commonly known as leukocytosis. So let's suppose you have a bacterial infection or a viral infection. Usually the number of these WBCs is increased within the body. And that particular condition is called as leukocytosis. Or even in case of leukemia, there can be increased number of these WBCs, or there can also be increased number of faulty WBCs. Either ways, depending on what is the mutation or what is the reason for cancer. Leukemia is also coming from that cancerous stage of these blood cells. So leukocytosis, that is the abnormal increase in the white blood cell. On the opposite side, leukopenia is the decrease in the number of WBC. So leukocytosis increase, leukopenia is the decrease. Penia usually refers to decrease. So that is a common terminology again used in biology. So leuko refers to WBCs, penia refers to decrease. So leukopenia, that is the decrease in WBC number. And usually the lower values, they are also obtained during the rest, and higher values during the exercise. Now this is one of the again other phenomena that we will see commonly happening within our body. Number may not drastically change, increase or decrease, either ways, but you can certainly see lower values in while if the person is resting. And if someone is doing more exercise, obviously there is more wear and tear of the body cells. So ultimately those body cells, they need to be broken down by these white blood cells, and that is why the number is slightly higher compared to the normal times. So that is just the difference between the number. White blood cells, they are actually classified into two major classes, what we know as granulocytes and agranulocyte. But here, there are different ways of classifying it. One of them is represented here, that is lymphocyte, granulocyte, and monocyte. But if you look at this particular chart, you can clearly see there are two types, that is granulocyte and the lymphocyte and monocyte. They are ultimately part of a granulocyte, and that's what is the classification given here, that is granulocyte and lymphocyte and monocyte. So we can say it either ways, it doesn't really matter. Monocyte is classified separately because it converts into macrophages later. That is why it is classified separately, but it is still a part of a granulocyte. So these two classes, that is granulocyte, specifically called so because they have certain granules which are present within those cells, right? So these granules, these are of some inflammatory or what we call as immune substances. Like we all know, probably during certain infection, body secretes some inflammatory substances, and those inflammatory substances, they are located within these granules, something like histamine or prostaglandin, or what we call as interleukin or leukotriene, all those different chemicals or different biomolecules, we can say. These are in the form of granules present in this granulocyte. So there are three types of granulocyte. That means the cells or a type of WBC which contains granules. There are three types: neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil. You will have to remember all these names. There are no options to this because this is part of the content, and there are quite a few questions being asked, usually based on these different types. So neutrophil, it's again, if you look at the nucleus, obviously there are few differences, but that I will not go into because that's kind of summarized here, which you can revise on your own. So that part I will not be taking in the class, but the major difference is in terms of their function. So neutrophil is actually the first one to arrive at the site, a major number of cells within the body, and it helps in phagocytosis. Again, my assumption is that you would know what phagocytosis is. If you don't know, please feel free to ask about it. Okay. So phagocytosis is the process by which the bacteria or virus particle, they are being engulfed by the immune cells. So we all know how the amoeba works, right? Whenever amoeba has to eat something, it creates the pseudopod like structure, that is extension of its own body, and then it engulfs that food particle inside the body, and then it breaks it down further like a digestion process. Similarly, these white blood cells, they will also create that pseudopod like structure around the bacteria or virus that will be taken inside. Lysozymes will be released, lysosomes will be released, and those breakdown of the protein or like the particles of the virus and bacteria, they will be like completely broken down, and that way that those virus and bacteria will be killed, and that process is called as phagocytosis. So usually phagocytosis is an endocytosis process. Endocytosis means the virus or bacteria particle is taken inside, that is endo, right? And that is what is phagocytosis. Okay. I hope that is clear to everyone as well. So neutrophil, they help in this phagocytosis process. Eosinophil, they fight against the parasitic infection. You all know probably what parasites are, right? Those which will grow within our body cells or on our body cells by taking the nutrition from those cells, and these kind of infections, they will be fought with this eosinophils. And basophil, it specifically produces inflammatory substances and allergic reaction. So suppose like we commonly say that I have dust allergy or I have pollen allergy and so on. So during these scenario, the basophils or a type of this WBC, which is basophil, that will secrete these inflammatory substances, and then ultimately it will cause allergic reaction. So whatever rashes on your skin that you see is usually because of this inflammatory or allergic reaction. Now, one thing that I would like to add here is usually if we have a common rash or common cold or common fever, what we like generally see around, which goes away within 3 to 5 days on its own, and they are not part of any larger disease or disorder. Means ideally body has the ability to heal on its own, and it does not need any medication as such. That is like if I have a common cold and if I don't take any medicine, rather I would just do some home remedies, my body will be able to take care of this common cold within 3 to 5 days. That is the natural healing response, what we call as. And this happens in almost all the individuals, except for those whose immunity is low, or if it is a part of some other disease. So in those cases, this like allergic reactions, they need to be taken care of. But in most of the cases, if you are a healthy adult or healthy individual, you don't need to take any medication in such cases. But again, of course, in consultation with a doctor, because we cannot be the judge or we cannot be the doctor for our own. So that is the basophil. So these are the three granulocytes: neutrophil, eosinophil and basophil. And some more facts, I guess we will see it here. Oh, okay, I guess I'll come back to it later. The second type of WBC, that is agranulocyte, which is specifically divided into lymphocyte and monocyte. Most commonly heard type of WBC is lymphocyte, and that is also because of the corona, maybe because the antibodies that are being produced, they are produced with these like lymphocytes. So lymphocytes, they are further divided into two major types, and the third one is an additional one. So that is B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte. Now a little more basics to this. Why the name B and why the name T lymphocyte? So both, rather all of these cells, they get produced in bone marrow. So similarly, lymphocytes, that is B as well as T, they get produced in bone marrow, but the B lymphocyte, it mature itself in the bone marrow itself, right? So this will get produced as well as matured in the bone marrow. That's why B lymphocyte. On the contrary, this T lymphocyte, it is produced in the bone marrow, but it is matured in the thymus gland, which is, that's why the T stands for thymus. So it is produced in the bone marrow, but mature in the thymus gland. Thymus gland is one of the gland, part of the lymph node or lymphatic system, which is present right behind your sternum. Again, the sternum is the chest bone or the central bone, which is holding on to the rib cage from the front side. So that is sternum. Behind the sternum, just below the neck, there is a thymus gland. That's where the maturation of the T lymphocyte happens, and that is why it is called as T lymphocyte. The letter T comes from thymus. So both are being produced in bone marrow. B lymphocytes mature in bone marrow, that's why B, and T lymphocytes matures in thymus, that's why T. We will come back to their function specifically later. And there is third type of this lymphocyte, which I said additional type. These, they do exist in our blood to a very less extent because of their natural ability to kill any particular type of cell. And that is why they are called as natural killer cell, because they exist in a very less amount, and depends on what specific immune response it is, the number can increase, but for us that is not important as of now. So natural killer cell, they have just natural ability to kill cell, while all the other cell, they always need some signal. And these cells, they may not need any signal, they can recognize the foreign particle and directly kill those cells. So that is why natural killer cell. And the second type of agranulocyte, that is monocyte, which fights off the bacteria and viruses and fungi or any other type of infection by creating a macrophage. Macrophage is a differentiated monocyte, which is a specific uh, type of agranulocyte, which will kill the bacteria or virus by again the process of phagocytosis. So that is macrophage. So just in summary here, granulocyte, three types: neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, majorly fighting the infection. Agranulocyte, that is lymphocyte and monocyte. Monocyte specifically convert into macrophages, and these lymphocytes, they are B and T lymphocyte and the natural killer cell. Now just some of the characteristics of these in terms of how they are like allotted in terms of their percent contribution to WBC. So this part we have already discussed, the first point, I skip that. And also like, so the lymphocyte, they contribute to 25 to 33% of the WBCs. That is the second largest population of the WBCs, and the first one being the neutrophil, right? So lymphocyte, they almost contribute 25 to 33% of the whole WBC population. Remember, that is one of the important parameter, and it's not the total blood cells from the blood itself. It is only the population of the WBC, out of which 25 to 33% is lymphocyte. Now, I mentioned specific functions that we'll see later. So they are here. B lymphocyte, it is specifically responsible for secreting antibodies, right? Secreting antibodies means they will synthesize the antibody. So they will recognize the foreign antigen, they will synthesize the antibody and they will secrete it. So those who had asymptomatic corona infection, like they would have had their B lymphocyte made antibodies within their bodies itself, and they will be secreted within the whole system. So that is what is the function of B lymphocyte. And antibodies, these are the proteins which binds to the foreign microorganism or parts of the microorganism within the body tissue, and then further they mediate the destruction. This part you already know. The second type of lymphocyte, that is T cells or T lymphocytes or thymus lymphocyte, they recognize the virally infected or cancerous cells and destroy them, or they serve as the helper T cells. So usually there are two types of T cells, what we call as T helper cells and T memory cells. So I'm sure you have heard of these immune cells being creating the memory of the infection. Like for example, we say if the corona has happened once, it does not usually happen in the second time. The reason being, the body has cured the infection, created a memory of that infection, and in terms of antibody production, and then it does not allow second time to happen. It, though there are cases of the second and third infection as well, but that is the memory T cells or T memory cells, either ways you can say it, which remembers a particular antigen and a response to that antigen within the immune system. So that is the function of T cell. And the other subset of T cell, that is called as T helper cell, it helps the B lymphocyte in the secretion of the antibodies. So one subset creates the memory of the T cell and the other subset helps in the production of antibodies with respect to the B lymphocyte. So that is the main functions of this B and T lymphocyte. And this we had already seen, that is natural killer cell. They have inherent ability to kill. So that is the granulocyte in terms of lymphocyte. Now in granulocyte, again coming back to the neutrophil part. So like I had said earlier, major contribution of the WBC is the neutrophil, almost 50 to 80%, right? So highest number of cells within WBC is neutrophil. Then the second subset is your lymphocyte. And this lymphocyte, they will include both B as well as T. So there we are not segregating as such. So that is the total population. Now, most important thing with the neutrophil is they are the first one to arrive at the site of infection. So what does that mean is, let's say you have a cut on your skin, or you get injured while you are walking or you are running and you just fall down and you get injured. Due to all these reasons, there is some injury, that is the site of infection or possible site of infection, and these neutrophils, they will be the first one which will arrive at that particular site, so that no foreign microorganisms they enter the body. So that way this neutrophil, they help in tackling the infection within the body. Rather, they are preventive, not tackling as such, but they are more preventive in nature. And again, they will engulf and destroy the pathogen by the process of phagocytosis. That's what we had seen earlier. Then eosinophil and basophils, these as well as the other type of cells, which we need not go into this detail, but mast cells specifically I must mention, because these are the ones which produces histamine within your body. Histamine is one of the anti-inflammatory substance, and that creates the allergic response. So whenever you have those rashes, or the increase in body temperature due to a viral infection also. That is because of the histamine and prostaglandin response. That is the body's natural response to release these inflammatory substances, and they will create a situation for those pathogens so that they cannot survive any longer. And that is what I called earlier as natural healing response. So these are the two subtypes. Now, the granules of the basophils, these are closely related to the mast cell and which contains number of chemicals like I mentioned, histamine and leukotriene. Rest of the thing you can just forget it. Like obviously we have just discussed it, taking part in the allergic response. And yeah, same is the case with the eosinophil. Monocytes we had already discussed in terms of their macrophage differentiation and killing the cells. So whole of this is kind of summarized here, like a brief introduction. Also in terms of their nucleus shape, you can look at it here. uh, Lymphocytes are the one which has bigger nucleus, as you can see here. Cell shape and cell nuclear size or cell size itself, that also you can look at in this particular diagram. That's just a factual detail, there is nothing to explain more. So that is the whole WBC. Anyone has any question here? Sorry, I didn't take any break deliberately in between to ask for any question, but yeah, now you can ask if at all you have any question.
What happens in leukemia?
Leukemia, the so cancer cell, so any type of cancer in general. So if you did not hear her question, she asked for what is leukemia or what exactly happens in leukemia. So in general, any type of cancer is increased number of cells. Leukemia is specific type of cancer of this WBC. So that means the number of WBCs is increasing, right? The moment this number increases, then those immune responses also gets changed in terms of the leukemia starts, or these conditions starts killing our own body cells. So then imagine a pancreas, which is one of the organ which produces insulin, right? Let's say those cells start getting killed, less production of insulin, more glucose in the body, you become diabetic, you die. Or let's say kidneys function is altered because of the higher number of WBCs. So the kidney function will get altered or changed, less urine production, more retention in the body of the water and all the other, and then it will cause toxicity. So depends on the condition, but overall leukemia is increased number of WBC due to the cancer of those WBC.
That cannot be controlled. I mean, there's no cure for that.
There is no cure for it, and the reason being because it's located in the fluid tissue. If it is a solid tissue, you can target it and give a treatment. Because it is within the whole blood system, that is within the whole body, you cannot give drug to whole body because it has lot of side effects, especially these cancer drugs. People, wake up. Does anyone have any question? Akshay, Mr. Akshay, no? Okay. Yati,
Yes, sir.
any question?
No, sir. All good.
Okay. I assume that no one else also has any other question. If at all you have, please still feel free to ask. We will just finish this lymph part and then we will stop. That is just 2 slides here. Okay, so let me just drink water. So we had looked at blood as one type of body fluid. Similarly, lymph is another type of body fluid which is more or less colorless, though it can be little like slightly pale yellow in color. That is because of the different constituents present within it. But so this lymph is actually being produced from the interstitial tissues. So let me show you. So actually I have kept a video here from Khan Academy. You can watch it, but let me just show you that diagram, which will help me in explaining this a little part. I hope this loads today.
It's gonna take a long time.
And we also have proteins.
Yes, thank you.
Protein.
Okay, so let's assume these are the different layers of the cell, these whatever red color things that they have shown, and the from the space within those cells, that is what is called as interstitial space, the liquid squeezes out, right? Liquid as in whatever water, then sodium, potassium, all those constituents, minerals as well as nutrients or broken protein particles and everything. So that gets squeezed out when it is in excess, and that will enter into the lymphatic system, which will be like similar to your circulatory system. There is this lymphatic system which has lymphatic vessels. In case of circulatory system, you have blood vessels. In lymphatic system, you have lymphatic vessels, and those lymphatic vessels, they will get this interstitial fluid, which ultimately turns into lymph, which is composition wise they are similar, but that is just, we call it lymph once it enters into the lymphatic system. So that is what I wanted to show you here. You can watch rest of the video on your own. So
I have a question, sir.
yes,
So is lymph more like proper fluidy like blood is, or is it more um gooey like pusses?
it's not like pus for sure. It's more like a blood. So when you remove RBCs and some WBCs from blood and even the platelets, what you get is ultimately some liquid like lymph, because composition wise they both have water, they both have nutrients, they both have everything else. Just blood has quite a high number of RBCs and WBCs and platelets.
Otherwise, it just has
Lymph,
water.
yeah, because whole body ultimately has the same. And same is the case with the interstitial tissues as well. That's where the lymph is getting into the lymphatic system. So the main role or the main function of this lymphatic system to act as a filter against microbes. So whatever is coming from the cell into the lymphatic system, which is ultimately going to the different organs or even into blood circulation, that has to be filtered. And that is why it acts as a filter against microbes or organic waste or other debris. Like the debris is not a waste as such. So within the body, there are metabolic processes which will break down, let's say, proteins or carbohydrates or fat molecule and so on. And whatever is not required by a particular cell will be thrown out of the cell. Now that particular waste material or metabolic waste is taken up within the lymphatic system, and this we call as debris. Now it is not going to waste as such, though we call it as a metabolic waste, because it will be reuptaken by some other cells whichever is in high need of this material. Because protein, when they break down, they form amino acids, and those amino acids can be reutilized for formation of the new proteins, right? Can be within the same cell, can be within the neighboring cells or at a distant cell. So that way these metabolic waste, they can be reuptaken and reutilized for synthesis of different biomolecule. But if it is in too much of excess, obviously then it is thrown out of the body by the urine. And also so that is the main function of the lymphatic system, that is to create a filter against microbe or organic waste or the metabolic waste. Also it helps in the exchange of nutrients, hormones and gases through this fluid. So whatever is required to the cells, from blood it goes into the different body cells. From those body cells it comes back into the lymphatic system. So that way it acts as an exchange mechanism. And one of the component, like I said, it consists of some WBCs, that is lymphocytes, which plays a major role in terms of immune reaction or immune response to act against the microorganism. So that is also one of the function, and that's why this lymphocyte, they have to be present within the lymph. Three main components of this lymphatic system, like blood consists of plasma, RBCs, WBCs, and platelet. Your lymphatic system also has lymph plasma and the lymph corpuscle, that is lymph cells, and the lymphoid organs. So whole of the lymphatic system is composed of these three things, that is plasma, cells, and the lymphoid organs, or they are also called as lymph nodes. So this diagram on the side, it explains the position of different lymphatic organs. Let's say, for example, tonsils and adenoids. Tonsils, very commonly, I assume everyone would know it. Located right below your jaw in the throat region, just next to your what we call as vocal cords, right? So that is tonsils. Adenoid is something behind your nose at the internal side, so above your throat and behind your nose. So that is the location of these lymph nodes. Armpits usually has these lymph nodes like on both sides at the armpit region, and also in the groin area there are lymph nodes present. Spleen, that is here, which is next to your like stomach, and the Peyer's patches, these are a specific type of cells present within the intestine. You don't need to remember this, but surely spleen, armpit, tonsils, these things you need to remember. So these are the different lymph nodes present in your body, and they are nothing but the lymphoid organs. Now, I don't know if you remember at all, but let's say in the childhood specifically, if you get an injury on a hand or on a leg, and that causes infection, a bit of infection, that's when the pus formation happens. That is the sign of injury being infected. So in those cases, if it is an injury on the arm and infected, then that causes the swelling of the lymph node at the armpit, and then it starts paining in the armpit. Or in the groin, similarly, if there is an injury and is infected, then on the leg region, then it causes swelling of this lymph node within the groin area. So that way, that these are the functions of these different lymph nodes, or what we also call as lymphoid organs. Lymph plasma, similar in terms of your blood composition, like blood plasma has the same composition, different minerals like calcium and so on. Just the amount will vary, like less phosphorus and high glucose concentration. Globulin, which is one of the protein, and these are actual antibodies, like what we call as immunoglobulins. So the antibodies which are secreted by the lymphocyte, they are specifically called as immunoglobulin. So that is also present in lymph plasma, and other organic as well as inorganic substances. Like organic can be your glucose and other starch, not starch, the glycogen type of molecule, and inorganic can be your calcium and phosphorus type of molecules. Lymph corpuscles, that is the lymph cells, these are nothing but your leukocytes, and some of them they are amoeboid cells, that is your macrophage like cells. So you can simply remember leukocyte, and that is sufficient. So these are the lymph cells. And the lymph nodes or lymph organs, these so we described quite a lot of it already. Just this part you need to remember: the spleen, tonsil, adenoid, thymus, these are all part of the lymphatic system, and the spleen is the largest lymphatic organ, and again its location is given, that is where it is located. That is the most of the description of the lymph and the lymphatic system altogether. So with this, I guess I will stop. If anyone has any question, can ask. Please watch this video because it will kind of summarize what is exactly lymph, how it is formed, and what are its function, and so on, and a very beautifully explained video. I will not do it here in the class. You can watch it on your own. And we will stop here for today until and unless someone wants to ask any question. Next class, we will be actually done with all the body fluids and the components of it. We will start with the circulatory system, that is the function of the heart and so on. Blood capillaries, on all of it we will see slowly.